Hello. Good morning, everyone. So we're going to start with the technical session because the people who are going to talk from the US, for them it is late night, so we don't want to get delayed. So the sessions will go start, then once the dignitaries come, then we'll lamping and other activities will start. So please bear with us. So Vishnu, please introduce.
Good morning to you all, ladies and gentlemen. I am Vishnu Kulkarni, welcoming you all on behalf of the Chairman Hdsi, Mr. Kaushik. The program is going to be of around 3 to 4 hours, and all of you are requested to bear with us. For the benefit of the people, I will read out the program once. That is inauguration. After the inauguration, welcome address by Mr. Kaushik, who is the Chairman of Hdsi. Then Mr. Samvit, who is the Secretary of Hdsi, will take us for a brief on the progresses made in the field. And after that, we have the program, a video conference with Mr. Jeffrey Stromberg and Dr. Nikhil Ratna from the US. So first of all, our sincere apologies to all of you that the program is delayed. Honorable Minister is on the way. So we shall go ahead with the introduction by Mr. Jeffrey Stromberg and Dr. Nikhil Ratna. And after that, we have the presentation on experiences with HD and how Hdsi educates and spreads awareness. This subject is going to be covered by Mr. Jeffrey and Dr. Nikhil. Then we shall have the time with the personal stories and experiences shared by individuals and families affected by Huntington's disease. On the arrival of Honorable Minister, Dr. Sanjeev Jain will address and speak on the subject, and the remaining programs will continue. Meantime, what is HD? In detail, the experts and the affected people will speak later on. But ಅದನ್ನ ಒಂದು ಶುದ್ಧ ಶಬ್ದದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳೋದಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ಮೆದುಳು ಮತ್ತು ನಡವಳಿಕೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬದಲಾವಣೆಯನ್ನು ಉಂಟು ಮಾಡುವ ಹಂಟಿಂಗ್ಟನ್ ಕಾಯಿಲೆ ಅಪರೂಪದ ಅನುವಂಶಿಕ ಕಾಯಿಲೆಯಾಗಿದೆ. ವಿಶ್ವಾದ್ಯಂತ ಯಾರು ಬೇಕಾದರೂ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ತುತ್ತಾಗಬಹುದು. 1872ರಲ್ಲಿ ಅಮೆರಿಕಾದ ಲಾಂಗ್ ಐಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ನಲ್ಲಿದ್ದ ವೈದ್ಯರಾಗಿದ್ದ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಜಾರ್ಜ್ ಹಂಟಿಂಗ್ಟನ್ ನೋಡಿ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೆರಿಡಿಟರಿ ಕೋರಿಯಾ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅನುವಂಶಿಕ ಕೋರಿಯಾ ಎಂದು ಹೆಸರಿಸಿದರು. ಗ್ರೀಕ್ ಭಾಷೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಣುವ ನಿಯಂತ್ರಣಕ್ಕೆ ಬಾರದ ಕಾಲುಗಳ ಚಲನೆ ನೃತ್ಯದಂತೆ ಕಂಡುಬರುತ್ತದೆ. ಇದು HD ರೋಗದ ಪ್ರಮುಖ ಲಕ್ಷಣವಾಗಿದೆ. ಆದರೆ ಇದೊಂದೇ ರೋಗದ ಲಕ್ಷಣವಲ್ಲದ ಕಾರಣ ಹಂಟಿಂಗ್ಟನ್ ಕಾಯಿಲೆ ಎಂದು ಮರುನಾಮಕರಣ ಮಾಡಿದರು. Ladies and gentlemen, now over to Mr. Jeffrey from US. All of you are requested to be attentive towards the screen there. They are joining us on the VC.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Be a little louder. Yeah, Dr. Nikhil on VC from US will introduce Mr. Jeffrey and the activities handled by them.
I can hear you. Yep.
I can't see anyone. So.
I can't either, but that's okay. We can see you. I'm assuming everybody in the room can too.
Volume, please.
So, hello everyone.
Dr. Nikhil, may I request you to be a little louder, please? We have a big audience here.
Respected dignitaries and my dear, it's a pleasure and privilege to be here on this occasion of the 5th Foundation Day of Huntington's Disease Society of India. It's humbling to see how it grew, how prominently leaders from across the fields are participating in this event to stand with the looks like it is now more popular disease than 5 years ago when we started Hdsi. Before introducing my good friend Jeff, I was asked to give a primer for those who are new to HD and share some thoughts. Huntington's disease that affects bodily movements, brain's executive functions, thoughts, judgments, perceptions, etc., which progressively disable the patient and cause systemic impairments in its terminal stages. In popular culture in the US, they say HD is AD plus PD plus ALS. AD is Alzheimer's, PD is Parkinson's, and motor neuron disease. So the symptoms of Huntington's disease are so diverse and affect multiple domains. Even worse thing about the disease is that it is a fully penetrant dominant genetic disease, which means it runs in families densely. Most families have multiple members affected and living in the same house at the same time. Besides its biological derangements, HD causes occupational dysfunction, strained interpersonal relationships, marital conflicts, social dysfunction, financial burden, etc. Many stories of HD patients reflect these dramatic changes in their lives once they are diagnosed with HD. It's a really tough disease, known for 150 plus years on record, probably much more than that. It's a tough disease, but it has also taught many lessons to the humanity. It changed the way societies function in terms of coming together to help the rare disease patients. It changed the way science is done. It's one of the first few human diseases for which causative mutation was found. I just want to say that this is a particularly exciting time in the history. The disease mechanisms have been studied at the highest possible resolution. And as of today, 3 promising clinical trials using 3 different approaches are entering their phase 3. That's great. And all of this was possible only by an extremely friendly, collaborative research group supported by the HD community itself. They compete with the disease more than with one another. Probably HD is the only field where all the scientists get to meet with the patients, inform their research, listen to their stories, connect with them at a personal level. I say it's a very sensitive scientific community that works for Huntington's disease. The field of Huntington's disease is totally a patient-family driven field, including many scientists coming from HD families. That's incredibly inspiring. I wish and hope that HD community in India should also show the same collective spirit as a community and strive to make the lives of HD affected people better in all possible ways. And now let me introduce the next speaker, Mr. Jeffrey Stromberg. Jeff, as he is fondly called, is the current president of the Washington local chapter of Huntington Disease Society America, also called Hdsa. He comes from an HD family, and he's one of those people who wants to contribute to the community. By profession, he works as a system support architect and SAP director of global operations for remote support services. I first met Jeff at a Hdsa fundraising walk event, and subsequently we met in the month of May at Hdsa annual convention. Our conversations were very profound about HD and the societies, how they respond to this disease, and philosophy of life in general. His positive attitude inspired me. I welcome Jeff to talk about Hdsa and how it has changed the lives of HD families in the US and the lessons.
Welcome, everybody, and I appreciate you guys all allowing me to come on and speak the best I can. The involvement and the impact that the Hdsa has on the United States, and not just the United States, but as a community in whole of the world. I go down my history. Nikhil kind of added a few things there, which is good. But as he said that, my history is I'm directly linked to Huntington's because of my mother and her family, And what it did, it basically annihilated, eliminated everybody on her side of the family, 5 or 6 people as well. Its impact is huge. I call myself a child of HD because I was born when she had it. So that's all I ever knew. And this was a long time ago. I'm a much older person now, so my experiences were that of a kid. But as I went along and after my entire family was wiped out by it, I stepped away and lived life. But in the meantime, what I experienced, I kept with me. And after several years of being away from its existence, I stepped back into the arena within the HD environment, and what I found was what I experienced was very profound. It was a huge step, considered from the 70s in the U.S. and how they supported and how they intertwined and helped HD families. Was very little was known about it, and up until just recently, the government and the communities have started to get more and more involved in supporting HD, not just from a scientific standpoint, but from a financial standpoint and also from a mental standpoint as well. I was asked to basically talk about a couple of subjects, but I'll kind of go through this as slow as possible, but with as best the knowledge I have. But I can give you a brief overview of how the Hdsi was started or founded. I'm not sure how many people are familiar with the name Woody Guthrie. He was a musician in the 40s and 50s in the United States. Had some popular songs, very well known. Anyway, he ended up getting at the time, he was treated as a criminal or somebody who had schizophrenia. Nobody knew what it was, and there was no testing. So therefore, when it progressed along and really started to affect his life as well as his family's, his wife, Marjorie Guthrie, started to become more involved in understanding what it was, how it worked, and what they could do to provide assistance. But she ran into, much like the rest of the world, there were no resources. There was no understanding. And so she decided to change that. So she formulated a group back in the 1970s, late 70s, I believe it was. And it was called Committee to Combat Huntington's Disease of America. And that was the beginning, that was the birth of HDSA, the association. From there, she traveled throughout the world, looking and reaching out to other communities of HD in different cultures to try and facilitate, I call it stirring up a hornet's nest, to get people more involved in understanding what this disease is all about and how it impacts. Thus doing that, she came back to the United States and started to work with government because there was a lot of and convinced him and his administration to start a group involved in research and understanding of neurological diseases. So it encompassed not just HD, but it was other diseases. That was the birth of that act. That started things going in a positive manner where HD families started to get a little more recognition and help. Still had a long way to go. I mean, don't get me wrong, it took decades to even get to where we're at now, which we're still working on, but we've managed to jump light years and advance to where we're not. Getting to the next concept, I was asked, what's the mission? The mission for HDSA is to improve the lives of everyone affected by Huntington's disease and their families. Their vision is a world free of Huntington's disease. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. And it is a very impactful statement that everybody lives by in that credo within this environment. Now, the HCSA, there are several things that it does, but what it does is, number one, it provides a community for HD patients, families, caretakers. It also provides a group to advocate, to push, and to sponsor research, social workers, social groups, to get people to come together, and also to come together not just to support each other, but to keep facilitating support and finances and such from other entities such as private institutions as well as government functions. What we've done is, I mean, let me circle back to one thing to help people to understand, especially everybody in the community. If there's one thing that I try to push is HD affects everyone in society, not just the family members, not the patient, and not just the faculties of everything. It affects every piece of society. It affects social workers, doctors, friends, family, police departments, governments. And I'm going to tell you how it affects us the most. It affects us because it costs money to help support HD families because they need assistance on a grand scale. So when people say, well, it doesn't affect me, because let's get to the point. I mean, HD is an inherited disease. It's not something that you can get just by contact or whatever. So a lot of people turn their backs on it. But what they don't understand, and what we have to try to convince them to make them understand, is it affects you anyways. Because these types of diseases, specifically HD, affect so many people in society that it ends up as a burden and as a cost that needs to be taken up. No matter what we like to deny or bury our hands in the sand, it still affects us. So the fact that, HDSA as a whole, this community, much like India's community HD, needs to come together to continue to look for resources, look for better ways to help people, but also to help support these families and their caretakers, as well as their kids. I guess the bottom line is this doesn't just affect the family itself. It affects everybody in society, no matter how you look at it, because it costs everything in the long run. That's how important it is. So when I talk to politicians and what have you, and they always ask me, one, what's my story? And number two, why should they sponsor or help us? And that's the first thing I say, because you have to understand, it may not affect you directly, but it does impact all of society somehow, in some way, shape, or form, because everybody is going to need assistance in some capacity. So it's very important that we get everybody on board as much as possible to help facilitate a cure as well as ways of mitigating the situation. And it's not just HD, there's other neurological diseases, much like Nikhil just pointed out a moment ago, how relatable they are. So, even when Marjorie started this back in the 70s, in the late 70s, she fought for all neurological disease, primarily focused on HD, of course, but they're all relatable. So we're not just alone in this bucket. These are all severely important because, as I said before, I'll keep emphasizing it. When you have a Huntington's person, a patient in the family members often have to quit their jobs. They often have to, they can't afford to pay for medical assistance. No, have to go. They're going to have to go to family members. They're going to have to go to government, you name it, which puts a strain and drain on those systems as well. So we have to find a way to mitigate that, to spread it, to help with that. And we have to look at it not just as a standalone issue. It is a community thing. That's what I got to emphasize out. Now, there's a number of things in the U.S. that we've been able to capitalize on. The good part is, we've involved, this is where Nikhil comes in very well, we've involved lots of universities in the United States to help for research and development of things to mitigate the symptoms and such, but also in search of a cure mainly. And so we have these places called the Centers of Excellence, which provide a lot of, the benefit. They get the expert neurological, they get psychiatrists, they get social workers, therapists, counselors. They also get people to help them with, looking for financial assistance within the government community. There's a number of other factors that we're working on in the United States that, again, we're still a work in progress. Social Security is one that does help with patients in this regard, but there's still a few rules that we have to adjust for them to get assistance that they need quickly, is what I can say. Bottom line, I won't get into research too much because that's Nikhil's expertise. I will say this, though. Since the inception of the HDSA, we have managed to collect more than $20 million in financing to help facilitate, research, development, social services, support, infrastructure, you name it. I guess I will conclude with this. Look, this society that we have, you guys have in India and the worldwide, which I feel like I'm going to become more and more a part of when it comes to support with HD, not just in the United States, because I feel like we need support everywhere. It doesn't matter where, like you guys there in India and Bangalore, which I've been to a few times, and I love that place. I just want to emphasize that this community that we have and the community that you have right now, the best thing that you can do is to, and Nikhil's been hurt by an attitude about this, look for the possibilities and the opportunities. Keep remaining positive no matter what, because there's always something that you can get in it to help make it work. And the community of HD and the society that we have at HCSA, as well as you guys in India, it provides a great focal point for families that have HD and support. It gives them a sense of community. It gives them a sense of hope, which is our motto, hope. It gives them the understanding they're not alone. They have a community that can support them. And, also, I'm always big on, I don't know everything. I'm not an expert. However, half the time I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm not afraid to jump in the pool and try. I'm not afraid to go out there and throw rocks and find out where they land. I'm not afraid to rattle boats, Hey, guys, wake up. Let's pay attention. Let's try something. And that's the positivity. Even, whatever people in the community, if they have a place to go to and ask questions, get support, get direction, that's what this team and that's what this group's all about. And, if there's anything that we can do to help or I can help, I'm always available, whatever I can be. Again, this particular meeting, these groups that you guys got going, keep them going. Keep them get people involved. Help advocate for understanding. Don't stop what you're doing. This is a good thing. It's a good thing that will only get bigger, better, faster, and smarter. And they're only going to get good things out of it. Communication, advocacy, constantly working with any government functions that you see the possibility of getting help or understanding. I realize that there's going to be days where you're going to feel beat down or frustrated. But the more we're involving, the more we interact, the more we stay as a community and keep putting positivity into it, the closer we're going to get to a cure, the closer we're going to get to the end of this. And then we can be happy. So that's all I got for this for now. I hope I gave you everything I could. But again, there's other resources. So appreciate the time, folks. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, Mr. Geoffrey. Thanks, Dr. Nikhil.
Thank you, Nikhil, and thank you, Jeff.
Our sincere thanks for joining us and sharing your experience and expertise. Over to you, Dr. Nikhil. You can speak.
Yeah, Nikhil,
I have nothing much to say. I think program is tight now by time, so I wish all the best to people working for HD families, and I'm always there to support in any way I can. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Nikhil. Thank you very much. We can wave to him. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Honorable Minister is expected in the next couple of minutes here. We shall wait for him. Then we shall wait for him to come and inaugurate the program, and the rest of the programs will continue. However, just for your information, lunch is arranged at 8th floor. Do remember, 8th floor. Okay, at about 1:15, we shall move to 8th floor for lunch. I'll continue to read the programs today. After the inauguration, we shall have the stories and experiences shared by individuals and families affected by HD. Also, we have addresses by Dr. Vijay Raghavan, former head of Department of Biotechnology and former principal scientific advisor to the PM of India. Then by Dr. Bhagwan Singh Charan, Additional Directorate General, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India. He is kind enough to come and join. Thank you, sir. Thanks for joining us. Then we have the address by Shri Harsh Gupta, Principal Secretary, Health and Family Welfare Services, Government of Karnataka. Then address by Shri Randeep, Commissioner for Health and Family Welfare Services, Government of Karnataka. We then have the addresses by Dr. Pratima Murthy, Director NIMHANS, accompanied by Dr. Sanjeev Jain, former Dean of NIMHANS, and Dr. Meera Purushottam. Later, address by guest of honor, sorry, he is not available today. He had to stay back at Hospete. So, address by the chief guest, our Honorable Minister, Shri Dinesh Gundu Rao. Then we shall have panel discussion and interaction with the media and audience, later on vote of thanks. This is the program for the day. By about 1:30, 2 o'clock, we shall be able to conclude the program. Till then, kindly bear with us. ಈ ವಿಷಯದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ, ಈ ಡಿಸೀಸ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಯಾರಿಗಾದ್ರೂ ಏನಾದರೂ ಕೇಳೋದಿದ್ರೆ ಅಥವಾ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ರೆಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದಿದ್ರೆ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಅವಕಾಶ ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ ಇನಾಗ್ರೇಷನ್ ಆದಮೇಲೆ. ಈ ದಿನ ಶ್ರಾವಣ ಶುಕ್ರವಾರ, ವರಮಹಾಲಕ್ಷ್ಮಿ ವ್ರತದ ದಿವಸ. ಜಗನ್ಮಾತೆ ಮಹಾಲಕ್ಷ್ಮಿಯ ಕೃಪಾ ಕಟಾಕ್ಷ ಹಾಗೂ ಆಶೀರ್ವಾದ ನಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರ ಮೇಲೂ ಇರಲೆಂದು ಕೇಳಿಕೊಳ್ಳೋಣ. ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಸಮಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಲೇಟಾಗಿ ಜಾಯಿನ್ ಆಗಿರೋರು ಬ್ರೇಕ್ಫಾಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಆ ಕೋಣೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಬ್ರೇಕ್ಫಾಸ್ಟ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ. The people who have joined us a bit later are requested to go and have breakfast. Breakfast, tea, coffee is arranged and it is available right there in that room in the corner. ಇನ್ನು ಕೆಲವೇ ನಿಮಿಷಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಮುಖ್ಯ ಅತಿಥಿಗಳು ಆಗಮಿಸಲಿದ್ದಾರೆ. Do kindly maintain silence when he arrives and welcome him. ತಾವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಎದ್ದು ನಿಂತು ಅವರನ್ನು ಸ್ವಾಗತ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಂತ ಕೇಳ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. C.N. Manjunath, former director of Jayadeva Institute of Cardiovascular Research and current MP from Bangalore Rural, has joined us. Welcome to you, sir. Thank you very much.
ಸ್ಟೇಟಸ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲಲ್ಲ ಅವರು.
ಮುಂಚೆ ಇತ್ತು ಅನ್ಕೋತೀನಿ, ಆಮೇಲೆ ತೆಗೆದು
ಟ್ವೀಟ್ ಆಗೋಬೇಡ ಅಂತ ಬಿಡಿ. ಡ್ರಾಪ್ ನಾವು ಒಬ್ಬರು ಡ್ರಾಪ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾರಲ್ಲ
Hope everybody has a water bottle. यदि किसी के पास वाटर बॉटल ना हो तो कृपया हमें बुलाइए. Silence, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, today's chief guest and our Minister for Health and Family Welfare, Government of Karnataka, Shri Dinesh Gundu Rao sir is here. Over to Mr. Kaushik.
Yeah. Good morning to everyone. I am Venkateshwara Kaushik, Chairman of the Hdsi. So taken over from April 2020, 4 onwards. So I welcome all distinguished guests, Honorable Minister, Health Commissioner, and C.N. Manjunath sir, our beloved doctor, and then Dr. Pratima Madam, Srinivas sir, Rajini, and our Charan Singh from the Delhi, Sanjeev Jain sir, and Alladi Madam from the NIMANS, head of the Neuro. So Dr. Shiva Vasu, and other distinguished guests. So we welcome everyone. So we have this program, we had it in 2022, lighting up the Arogya Saudha that happened in 2022. And continue to that, we've been having this program today. So this is 5 years we have completed after successfully starting the Huntington's disease. So 2019, we had an international conference at that time. Now we've been moved from step to, I think, foundation stone laid by the Jain and team Nimant and other, Dr. Nikhil and all. So he moved to US now. So the society grown up strength and reach, thanks to unwavering the support from the HDSI team who are all helping us to make it happen things. So we've been conducting most of them online awareness programs of HD and trying to moral support we're providing. So we have come up with a proposal with the government asking to provide a multidisciplinary care. In principle, they have been agreed and they have been formed a task team by Commissioner. I think that's moving on. And other one is that there is a rare disease cell is in Delhi. We have approached them to include rare disease nalli ಮಾಡಬೇಕಂತೇಳಿ request ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನ endorse ಮಾಡಬೇಕಂತ ಕೇಳ್ತಿದ್ವಿ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ. So with this, I request Samit to talk about little bit about what we have done, what we are going to do in a couple of minutes.
Good morning to all our distinguished guests, honored panelists, and the staff of Department of Health and Family Welfare, and families with Huntington's disease and other rare disorders. Okay, so this Huntington's Disease Society is a non-profit organization specifically dedicated for Huntington's disease. This was founded in 2019 in NIMHANS, like basically the help of doctors in NIMHANS and the patient families. It was initially led by Dr. Sanjeev Jain and Dr. Nikhil, and basically we have we have members in Huntington's Disease Society throughout our country. There are more than 200 plus families in our WhatsApp group, and who are spread across the country. And the HDSI is more active in Bangalore because most of our members are here, and we have demands basically which is supportive. And in the last 5 years, basically we have been supporting underprivileged families. We are conducting the workshops and also giving a platform for the caregivers to vent out, basically share their feelings and even vent out their stress. Apart from that, there was a event in 2022 which was supported by the government of Karnataka and NIMHANS, and the light up events happened in Mumbai, in Hyderabad and in Bangalore. That was more of a significant milestone for bringing more families together. In the going forward, we want to collaborate with other NGOs like ORDI, MDSI, to more channelize the efforts towards the same cause. And in the long term, HDSI aims to basically to collaborate with the pharma companies and international organizations for drug discovery in India, and also pursue to the government of India to have some research in India here. One thing, it's more on the personal side, we have the first brain donation made in for the Huntington's disease. The first brain donation happened in February. That was my mother's. The whole, kind of inspiration is that because I was part of this Huntington's disease family, and I know what is the problems we face, and any research on that will give some benefit to us. That is the only whole purpose. So on this, I'm just ending this note here. Thank you.
So I'll ask Dr. Sanjeev Jain to give us some words, few words about HD, his experience.
Good morning, everyone. Honorable Minister, sir, we've known each other for many years. I'll give you a small personal account. I probably saw my first case of Huntington's disease as a medical student, as an MD student at NIMHANS. And I was working in molecular genetics when the gene was discovered. And for the last 30 years, we've been working in collaboration with colleagues in neurology to set up a molecular genetics lab and provide all kinds of services, whether it's counseling service, pre-test counseling, long-term care, being in contact. So we have a movement disorder clinic, and we have seen almost 400 or 500 cases now. Huntington's disease typically begins in 30s. A genetic test costs only a few hundred rupees or even less, but the impact it has that you will know how you will die over the next 10, 20, 30 years is very, very traumatic. Some planning care and planning services for those who are affected is a very, very big challenge. And the Huntington, all over the world, it's the families and the community which has been at the forefront of driving disease and care models. So the Hdsi is really an effort to do this. Now in Bangalore, we are uniquely placed. We have an excellent institute. Although I'm from NIMHANS itself, I'm quite proud to say it's an excellent institute. And we've been doing frontline work on the genetics and the biology of it for many years. We have been able to understand the genetics. Colleagues at the ISC and the JNC do all kinds of molecular and cell work. We have excellent clinicians at NIMHANS. So we are well placed to be the spearhead for these kinds of neuropsychiatric disorders in Bangalore itself. Plus we have the biotech companies who can take on the next generation drugs. Because the gene has been known, for the last 30 years, people have been trying to figure out molecular methods to reverse the disease. The government of India has just announced that gene therapy for myotonic dystrophy and Duchenne will be available in India without doing drug trials. So because these are rare disorders and these are very high-tech industries, and because if you develop molecular treatments, and Bangalore can develop those treatments because we already have the infrastructure both in clinicians and in scientists. And if we can organize a home care-based program or a community-based program, which is what the Hdsi and the long-term care issues, I think we will be able to answer one of the most fundamental problems of medicine. What do you do with people who have a progressive, slow, progressive disease, which all of us have? Diabetes is one, cardiovascular disease and other neurological diseases have not been covered like in those planning till now, and we hope that with all this, we'll be able to cover some kind of neurological and neuropsychiatric illnesses into this model. The HD itself, as you can see, there are many, many families here, and I hope you will have the time to interact with them, and they will have to listen to their journeys through these disorders. Mr. Kaushik himself has been looking after his family member for many years.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for yours. No.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be attentive. We now request our chief guest and honorable minister to inaugurate the function by lighting the lamps. Dignitaries, please join. Thank you, sir. ಚಪ್ಪಾಳೆಗಳು ನಡೀತಾ ಇರಬೇಕು.
Let's invoke the blessings of God, Ganesha, Saraswati. Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakarishu Sarvada. Saraswati Namastubhyam Sarvadevi Namo Namaha Shanta Rupe Shashidhare Sarvayoge Namo Namaha. Deepar Jyoti Parabrahma Deepar Jyotir Janardana Deepo Haratume Papam Deepar Jyotir Namostute. Let the God bless us with all the wisdom and health. ನಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಸದ್ಬುದ್ಧಿ ಮತ್ತು ಸುಜ್ಞಾನವನ್ನು ಕೊಡಲಿ ಅಂತ ಬೇಡಿಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ನನ್ನ ಪ್ರಾರ್ಥನೆಯನ್ನು ಮುಗಿಸ್ತೇನೆ.
ಈಗ ಒಬ್ಬ HD ಪೀಡಿತರಾದ ಶ್ರೀ ವಿಜಯ್ ಕುಮಾರ್ ಅವರು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಗಮನ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಕೇಳಿ.
My name is Vijay Kumar. I am diagnosed with Huntington's disease about 10 years back. And then last 10 years I am with this disease. And then I have, in spite of, with the encouragement of my doctors, I am trying to maintain my normal life as if it doesn't affect me. Weekly 3 days, I attend help desk at Victoria Hospital OPD 3 days a week, along with other volunteers. And I'm also a civic activist. I am fighting for I'm a single man army campaigning for a disabled friendly, barrier free footpath for the people, people like people like senior citizens, people like disabled, people who can't afford a vehicle, people who are poor, who can't even who can't afford a bus fare. So I was, in fact, I came to Bengaluru 10 years back, before I was out of the state for my job purpose. But since then, I am observing, I'm leading a single man army. I attend ward committee meetings. I visit the BBMP officers, right from ward office to commissioner's office. I approached elected representatives like you and all, because I happen to stay next door here in the CTA apartments. So I know the problems of disabled friendly people. So I also approached judiciary, making use of RTI Act, and then I am also using right up to, I have filed a PIL in High Court also. So what I mean to say is, I do about 10 to 15 kilometers of cycling every week, and then so anyway, I am also doing weekly 3 times swimming. Also, I am active, and then 5 days a week I do 1 hour yoga. So, right, previous visit, only my neurologist told me that except movement disorder, you are perfectly all right. You can do normal life. Only I want by whatever, although this may not be the right forum, I want fighting single man army for the rights of persons with disability. Act 1974, under which we have to provide barrier-free, disabled-friendly footpath. So, although this is not a big forum, since I am one-man army last 10 years, I'm fighting. Yes. I thought I'll bring it forward.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
I request Archana to speak a little few words quickly, because this disease starts at 30 years, 75 years. They're going to lose their working time. They're going to lose. This is one example.
Hello, everyone. Good. Thank you. I'm audible? Good morning. My name is Archana Ravada. I'm based out of Hyderabad. Today, I'll be telling how my family and I am affected with this rare disease called Huntington's disease. Okay. So, when I was a month baby, my mother doctors saw some weird movements on my body, on my mother's body. So, at that time, it was in 1991. So, doctor said that she's looking like some rare disease which is called Huntington's disease. So, unfortunately, after the genetic testing, this was in way back 91, she tested positive for this rare disease. Doctor said there is no cure for this, and the chances of kids getting is 50%. So, like doctor told, in 2001, we lost our mother, and her situation was very tough. She was fighting lots with psychiatric issues, psychosis, but we were not aware because none of the doctors were ready. They had no clue about what exactly the problem is happening and how to help her. And the doctors refused to give even normal medicines for her. So things were very bad at that time. So it was very challenging for me as a child, and my childhood was very bad. And in 2017, all the while I was also aware that myself and my brother are at risk because it is the chances of kids getting is 50%. We never ever discussed that. In 2017, when my family wanted me to get married, I made up my mind that even before I want to get married, I wanted to get tested positive for this Huntington's disease gene. So underwent a genetic counseling with important knowledge. I had decided to give up my gene. So I had gave my blood for sampling. So at that time, I tested positive. Things were not proper. My life was upside down because I was not expecting this thing. I felt very bad. I was down emotionally. I didn't have the courage to accept it. After that, I took a help with the Huntington's disease, and there was no lack of support groups based out of in India. So with the help of one support group from Huntington's Disease Youth Organization, they are based out of UK, they told you should do proper workout. And that will actually help you in delaying the onset of my symptoms. At the same time, what happened was like, I did some good workout and meditation helped me. Meditation and all. After that, physical workout helped me become like a very strong person. And then since then, only thing which I actually encourage all the patients is like, I have a purpose for my life. I want to motivate all those people whoever are fighting with this Huntington's disease by just saying that we need to do some or the other sort of physical workout. Meditation is the utmost important thing. I did a meditation course also, which was like 10 days. So I encourage people. And since then, I found a purpose for my life. And another challenges which I myself as a Huntington's disease patient we are facing is social stigma. Most of the people are not aware about it, and they say that it is social stigma is the first major challenge which I am going through. And another thing is like medical awareness. None of the doctors are aware about the challenges which I am going through. They themselves keep demotivating us, saying, you have no cure for this disease, no point in leading our life. Yeah. This is one thing. And third thing is like lack of medical awareness. These three things needs to be addressed. So this is what I want to tell. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Archana. Thanks a lot. So one more testimonial. So just bear with me. Yeah, you can speak.
Hello everyone, this is Chetan Gopinath here, and I'm 40 years old. I work for TCS company. I used to be a software engineer. I was diagnosed with Hdsi Huntington disorder 5 years ago. So initially, it's been 3.5 years since I last reported back to office. I used to be a software engineer. Like once I was fortunate to get one on-site opportunity for Switzerland too. So since 3 years, I was struggling to actually report back to office. So basically what I do involve on a daily basis is I've started doing some Vipassana meditation, yoga, and just enrolled 1 month ago. I've enrolled for gym. I expect some support community. Expect some help, financial input. Financially, I'm very weak, not able to. So I need some support from the government.
Hello, I'm Chetan's mother. He was diagnosed with that Huntington's disease in 2020. He was very, in all respects, he was very okay. He was working in TCS. But past 3.5 years, is not able to work, and even sometime I think 1 year he was sanctioned salary, but at present past 1 year he's not getting salary, and we are from very middle class family, and I'm also retired. I'm sorry. Kindly introduce some insurance policy to such people so that it will be benefited to all the members. I request you to do some financial support to such people who can come at least financially. See, they have psychological problem, movement problem, all problems. He is also finding it very difficult. He was very good at everything. He was a good sports person, and he was a software engineer, BA, MBA, SAP, everything he had done. But I don't know how we got into this. We were not aware of this disease. Suddenly, he got married in 2015. He has a child, also 7 years old. They did not get, husband and wife, there was no much understanding. She left him, and now I'm taking care of him. See, I'm also old. What he'll do after me, that is the thing worrying me. Kindly help us. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Hello. Yeah. One more. Paramjeet Singh, mother, she's going to speak. So that is a family disease. Yeah, last one, this is. Then Dignitary is going to speak. Madam, please.
हेलो, मैं डॉक्टर के पास 40-50 बहुत अच्छे हैं, बहुत अच्छे आते हैं. मेरे बेटा भी बहुत अच्छे है, बेटा भी अच्छा है, सब अच्छे हैं. पर मेरे को तकलीफ थी, इसलिए मैं तक पड़ा थी. सब मेरे पेट नहीं भरता है. सब बच्चे मेरे साथ रहते हैं. कोई मैं आधे से उठ के खाती हूँ तो भी कोई मेरे को तकने का मना नहीं करता.
Thank you, madam. The pain is understood.
Yeah, thank you, all the people. This is a testimonial what we have been presenting. This is 5 stages. People go and they go bedridden. They're like Abhimanyu. They know that he is not able to come out. These people also like that only. They have to fight. And Bhishma might have been few years only might have stayed in that bed. But these people are living in bedridden for quite long time. 10 years, 15 years people are living. So we need to do something. We need to do research in India. I think advanced countries are doing something. We need to do something initiate. So I request Dignitary to, like a commissioner, to speak in few words because we have been associated with him quite some time. Then we'll.
Thank you, respected Honorable Health Minister, Honorable MP, Director Nimans, our Director Dr. Rajni, who's DD Mental Health, and all the people assembled here, especially the caregivers and the patients themselves who are affected with Huntington's disease. Sir, last year also we had a small get-together of like-minded people, and Director Nimans also was there. Basically, that was to create a bit of awareness of what this disease was. We were not even aware that such a rare genetic neurological disorder existed. But it is only for the families who go through this and the patient themselves that they undergo this trauma, especially when the medical world does not know a very good treatment and cure seems a bit far away presently. So in this environment of limited approach, I mean, what is the best approach that we can adopt where we can be with the families? One could of course be the medical support, which presently we need to associate with Nimans and take it ahead. Apart from that, the kind of caregiver support or some kind of a medical financial assistance which can be given. I mean, these were all the ideas which came up last year, sir. This year, I think the Hdsi has brought in more stakeholders to see how this particular initiative can be taken ahead. And that is the sole reason why they've invited you, sir, as well as the Honorable MP. So it is more of a brainstorming kind of a session, as well as to see how each one of us can join hands and then take this ahead, sir. In that regard, I, as Commissioner Health, of course, have nothing much to say, other than the fact that this platform is made available for you. And from the government side, we can act as an enabler or a coordinator if we want more people to be brought on. Of course, we know that Government of India also has to be involved in this, because the rare diseases wing there will also play a major role in any kind of treatment intervention, supportive care, as well as any kind of financial assistance. So in that regard, sir, I think it is a good beginning, but it's a long journey to tread. And from our side, we can assure that the Government of Karnataka, as well as the Health Department, will support the caregiver families as well as the patients themselves. And I'm sure, sir, they will want to hear from you and Honorable MP on how to take this initiative ahead, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Randeep, sir. So we'd like to hear from our central government representative who has come from the Hdsi itself.
Thank you. Very good afternoon, sir. Honorable Minister of Health and Family Welfare, Government of Karnataka, Honorable Member of Parliament, respected dignitaries, all the team SDSI and patient group. I am Dr. B.S. Charan from Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. I am looking after the rare disease component at Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. I am one of the team member. I will take you a few minutes. Sir, from rare disease context, I have joined this meeting. I am nominated for this meeting under National Policy for Rare Disease 2021. Government of India has provided some component in that policy. One part is financial assistance of 50 lakh rupees per patient. And it is all through the Center of Excellences. So I would like to say that in Bangalore, there is one Center of Excellence, CHG is here only. And the disease has to be notified under the NPRD 2021. As of now, 63 diseases have been notified. Till now, Huntington'S disease is not a notified disease under NPRD. So first, I would like to request that through your Center of Excellence, I think in Bangalore, CHG is one of the Center of Excellence for rare disease, where some of the patient or one or two of the patient is to be get evaluated there, and COE is to be requested to send in a request for considering it as a rare disease. At the central level, there is a Central Technical Committee for Rare Disease, and when they receive this request from COE with filled checklist of performa, there are some parameters that COE has to convey along with the request. Then there will be a discussion, and accordingly the CTCRD will decide whether we have to include this in our committee to notify in PRD or not. That's the first step that can be done easily. Second, also, I am the member secretary of that National Rare Disease Committee under the Delhi High Court order. One committee has been constituted under the chairmanship of Secretary DHR. So, as it is clearly pointed out that now the Government of India is also working towards indigenization of the drugs as well as the gene development. So, if you send your nomination, you can approach Government of India, and we may request that committee to look after from the gene therapy point of view what new research that can be facilitated. It would be a good advocacy platform also. In addition to two, these are only specific to the rare disease context. I would like to say under the NPPC, National Program for Palliative Care, my reporting officer, Dr. L. Swastichan, is directly concerned with NPPC. And in some of the rare disease patients, like if we say DMD, they have requested some supportive care treatment components, supportive care part, like not necessarily if there is no curative treatment, we may support the patient, we may provide right from wheelchair to, all, nebulizer, or how we can train the family members. So NPPC is looking after that component. So in this Huntington's disease, we may have a thought on that also. So these are the 3 points I can say Government of India can facilitate from our side. And I thank you all the SDSI organizing committee that you have raised this issue at this platform and you sensitize all the members, you brought together all the stakeholders. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Sir, we are giving a representation from the Hdsi to consider our this is a small memento for this. Yeah, thank you, sir. Sir, we request demands Professor Director Head of the Neurology Department to speak a few words.
So, Honorable Health Minister, Sri Gundurauji, we know you as our neighbor cardiologist, sir, who always helps us, Dr. Manjunath, sir, Honorable MP. Our Director Nimhans, who is, Director Nimhans, who is a support for everything that we do. It's a neurological disease, Huntington's disease. It affects the brain, it affects movement, it affects cognition, it affects their daily life, it affects caregivers. It also has a lot of transgenerational trauma. So it's a very complex disorder like many rare neurogenetic disorders. And I think the Huntington's Disease Society have to really be congratulated, sir, for bringing together all these stakeholders. It is very difficult to bring every stakeholder together, and I think the credit goes to the government of Karnataka for actually listening to HDSI. And as a neurologist at Nimhans, we are here to provide complete support for medical diagnosis, for neurological diagnosis. We work very closely with the psychiatry department. And from our side, I think there is 100% support. I also represent the Karnataka Brain Health Initiative. The Health Commissioner, sir, he's been actually completely urging us to provide support for people with Huntington's disease through the Karnataka Brain Health Initiative. We're coming up, sir, with the terms of reference of how a center can be set up in, C.V. Raman Hospital as part of the Brain Health Initiative, we have a multidisciplinary care in every district, and I think we will be very happy to work to develop support for people with Huntington's disease. We also work with the palliative care unit. So I think we'll be very happy to support all of you with this, sir.
Thank you, madam. So, and due to the strike going on, medical professionals, a lot of people not represented, like Movement Disorder Society, Dr. Paul, and then other people. So we've been talking. I request Hdsi side Prasanna to speak a few words.
Good morning, everyone. I am Prasanna from ORD Organization for Rare Disease India. I would just like to brief generally about rare diseases for both the Honorable Minister's attention and also Dr. C.N. Manjunath. So there are 7,000 rare diseases. 50% of them affects the children and 50% affects the non-children, especially adults like this. And we have only 500 FDA approved drug. And balance do not have treatment at all. Out of 7,500, we have FDA approved drug. Balance do not have. And wherever there's a FDA approved drug, all of them are very costly, exorbitant. And it may run anywhere from 50 lakhs per year to few crores per year, lifelong to be given. Some of them are gene therapies one time, which are still underway. So thankfully, Karnataka is the first state in the country to provide treatment for rare diseases. And we have a center of excellence, Indira Gandhi Institute of Child Health, and we run an exclusive daycare ward also. And under the government policy, as Dr. Charan mentioned, so there are 3 groups. One is, there is a 50 lakh rupees budget available, one-time treatment, like bone marrow transplantation, etc., which takes care of most of the condition. Second is group 2 conditions, where there is a treatment, and maybe 10 to 15 lakh rupees per year, which goes on based on the patient body weight. And that takes care of, maybe few years. For some children, it may 20 years, 30 years, but for few, if the patient is adult, it may take 5 years or 1 year. Third one is very high cost treatment, where it runs to 50 lakhs, 1 crore, 2 crore, etc. I think here we have this thing. One, since health is a state subject, I think it is I request the state government to look after these group 2 diseases and group 3 diseases. Because when it comes to rare diseases, there are 4 important components. One is the early diagnosis and the accurate diagnosis, then the treatment part, supportive care, and long-term rehabilitation and taking care of the patients like whom you have seen just now. Because when the parents become old, very difficult to take care of their children or the adult one at home. I think that is where intervention is required. So then Dr. Charan also mentioned that, inclusion of these new diseases taking. See, when we talk about 7,000 diseases, which the list is growing every day, why should we include? Because if it's a rare disease policy, every rare disease has to be included by default. I think, Dr. Manjunath, I request your intervention to raise this subject in the parliament, because in last 2 years, 61 diseases are included. If you have to include 7,000 diseases, should we wait so many years? Is my question. And when is a rare disease policy, every rare disease has to be included. And currently, the rare disease policy is only for treatment, which is, out of 50, only around 12 or 13 are available in India. Balance are not even available. But when this is a policy, it should be available both for treatment, long-term care, physiotherapy, anything required for the benefit of the policy. I think that is where I request again to take up this subject at the central level. And also increase the limit of 50 lakh. When we know that diseases are costly, cost beyond 50 lakhs, 1 crore, 2 crores, I think that limit also need to be increased. And secondly, from the state government, that is where your intervention comes. Like, for example, we need a newborn screening. Early detection is very important. We do not have any newborn screening policy in the country as a whole. Only few states are doing it. I think if we take up the newborn screening policy and also high-risk pregnancy, which is screening, which is very, very important because prevention is better than the cure. When we spend 50 lakhs, 60 lakhs for the treatment, why can't we arrest them in advance? Even if we take care of the high-risk pregnancy, and screen their families and give a genetic counseling, you can bring down the burden on the families. Today we have families with 4 children, 5 children with the same condition, and also it passes on the generation. I think these 2 important things, which I request the state government to take up initiative, at least to start, because Karnataka is, leader in many of the scientific. We have good institutions like NIMANS, CSG, everything. And if you collectively take this and also increase the limit and supportive care, what is required for the Huntington disease, because long-term care is very important. On an average, family spends at least 50,000 to 75,000 per month, including the nursing care and their medicines. So it is not possible for anybody to, take care of this. And this is a situation of all rare diseases. I think we can start off with some initiative. When you talk about this long-term rehabilitation, doesn't only include Huntington. All the neurological conditions where they require long-term care also can be included. I think the meeting, has helped to gather your kind attention. Request all of you to take care of this. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Prasanna. Now I request Dr. Pratima Murthy to say a few words of her experience.
Thank you. Sir, I think you've heard about what the extent of the problem is and how families actually suffer from it. So I think we understand that. We also understand that there has been a notification for about 60 odd rare disorders. There are 7,000, but I think 500 disorders make up 70 to 80% of the rare disorders. So at least for that concerted group, if we have something, that will be very good. At NIMHANS, as Dr. Alladi mentioned, we've already given a proposal for being considered a center of excellence for rare diseases. As was mentioned, there are other rare diseases also. So if we can have it. Of course, right now the Indira Gandhi Institute of Child Health is recognized as a center for excellence, but is possibly overwhelmed with the children's rare diseases. And therefore, if we could have one, or we could see whether it could be an extension of that, that would be very good. You've already heard about some of the important issues as far as awareness and sensitization is concerned, where people need to be aware of the symptoms. Physicians need to be aware of identifying it early, because by the time the movement disorder appears, it's fairly advanced. So much more early diagnosis and sensitization is very important, and referral to a specialist. Hopefully through Kabi we'll be doing that. Then in terms of the early treatment and diagnosis, obviously we need to take it to the primary and secondary care level, because the people who are here today are probably more urban, educated that you will see. But for every person here, I'm sure there will be a lot of people in the primary and secondary care who need to be aware of it. And of course, we need to look at things like diets, maybe supplementations, any other relatively low-cost interventions. Although there is no specific treatment, they may need supportive treatment. So providing these, which can, increase the financial burden is very, very critical. The third thing is particularly in the advanced cases, providing support. Dr. Alladi mentioned about palliative care, but I think multidisciplinary neuropalliative care is very important. And I think finding the other disciplines to come together, particularly to help people, is very critical. Huge social and financial burden, as was already mentioned. And therefore, if we can get both disability benefits as well as financial aids to all families who have Huntington's disease, it will be very, very important. I'm not sure practically how that single, cost of treatment is. People with chronic neurological disorders, they need much more on a continuing basis to make sure their life and sustenance is taken care of. As far as genetic counseling is concerned, the onset is between 20 and 45 usually, and many people might have actually started their family life before they get diagnosed. And therefore, I think, knowing it's an autosomal dominant disorder, genetic counseling, particularly to the unaffected families, properly family, pre-implantation genetic diagnostic counseling, fetal genetic diagnosis are also might be very, very important, particularly for couples who plan to have a child who is not going to be affected by Huntington's, because that's a very important thing. And therefore, proper and timely genetic counseling is paramount. Since we can't prevent the disease, even if we diagnose it in the pre-symptomatic symptomatic phase, it's very important to provide genetic counseling. And we do know that there's been a lot of advances in the treatment of genetic disorders, but I think making the diagnosis an early stage ideally is very important. And therefore, perhaps having genetic counseling, particularly at the district level, might be a very important step to take, in addition to all the other steps that are being taken. To the high-risk groups. Yes, absolutely. That become very important for the high-risk groups. Yes, absolutely. And finally, research. People are looking for cures. At the moment, some therapies are in the pipeline, but there's nothing very specific. But hoping that we will come up with a cure, having a registry is very, very critical. And therefore, targeting the pre-symptomatic HD carriers as well. In case something comes up, it's always important to have this in line. And maybe we're maintaining a district level registry of families affected with HD, with proper informed consent and so on, can help in identifying potential people in case a cure is in the pipeline. So many of these initiatives through the Karnataka Brain Health Initiative, there are some things that we will take forward. But perhaps in addition to that, if we can get specific help for all the families, particularly in terms of healthcare, financial benefits, I think we'd be going a long way. I also wanted to join everybody in complimenting the government of Karnataka, because I think Karnataka has been in the forefront. And, at least the awareness and attention given to HD is much better than in other states. We can also become a model to actually say how we can support all the families that are affected. And look forward to your support, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. We hear from the Srinivas, sir, Director of Arogya Soda.
Respected Health Minister, sir, and my Guru, Dr. Manjunath, sir, and Bhati Mammootty, and all the dignitaries and volunteers. From the Department of Health and Welfare, we do run a Kabi program, sir. I congratulate the society that you have brought forward this, and we are aware of this problem. And in 10 districts already, sir, we have elderly care units are there. We have palliative care units started. Definitely we'll support them, whatever the timely required help, what is been asked for. Definitely in our family ಜೊತೆ ನಾವಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಸರ್. ಎಲ್ಲ ಡಿಸ್ಟಿಕಲ್ಲೂ ಬಂದರೆ ಅವ್ರು ಯಾವ ರೀತಿಯಾದ ಒಂದು ನ್ಯೂರೋರಿಹ್ಯಾಬಿಲಿಟೇಷನ್ ಬೇಕು, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಎಲ್ಡರ್ಲಿ ಈಗ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ಲಿ ಕಾಯಿಲೆಯಿಂದ ಬಿದ್ದಾಗ ತೊಂದರೆ ಆಗುವಂಥದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ ಅಡ್ರೆಸ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಡೆಡಿಕೇಟ್ ವಾರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ ಸರ್ ಎಲ್ಲ 10 ಡಿಸ್ಟಿಕಲ್ಲಿ. We have started in 10 districts. Shortly we are going to, there is a national program for elderly care and there is a national program for palliative care. So ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಡೆಡಿಕೇಟೆಡ್ ಬೆಡ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಡೆಡಿಕೇಟೆಡ್ ಸ್ಟಾಫ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಡೆಫಿನೆಟ್ಲಿ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿಗಳಿಗೆ ತಾವು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಅವೇರ್ನೆಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ That's it. That's what. That's it. We have a physician and also palliative persons are there trained in this thing. Definitely we can take care of them at present. Rest of it, the government or Manjunath sir request ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಸರ್. ಕೇಂದ್ರ ಸರ್ಕಾರದ ಗಮನ ಸೆಳೆದು ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಕಾಯಿಲೆ ಹುಟ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ ಮುಂಚೆ ಮಗು ಆಮ್ನಿಯೋಸೆಂಟಿಸಿಸ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸರ್ already has taken a note of that. And I thank for the organizer to draw attention of us also. We'll definitely, in coordination with Kavi program and elderly program and also palliative program, definitely we'll look forward to serve them. Thank you for giving an opportunity to speak. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Sir, we request a small moment to accept it. Thank you. Sir, we request Dr. As a doctor, we would like to speak with him.
Because as a doctor already many have spoken. Now we want him to speak more as an MP now.
So, sir, as a cardiologist also he knows, already has seen the HP patients.
Yeah. So, our Honorable Minister for Health and Family Welfare, and we are, even otherwise we are very close to him, Mr. Dinesh Gundurao, then Director of NIMANS, Dr. Pratima, Dr. Srinivas, Director of Health and Family Welfare, and all the faculties, and most importantly, the Huntington chorea patients and their families. So, actually, of course, already a lot of people have spoken about this disease. We know it's hereditary, it has a genetic basis, and there is no cure for disease. So, first of all, my hearty congratulations to Huntington Disease Society of India for, developing this particular program, because that is a greatest thing that has happened. Because we have a society, under that banner we have assembled. So, I think we have to really congratulate those people who have conceptualized this Huntington Disease Society. That's very, very important. And many patients also, they also spoke. One Mr. Vijay Kumar, this is what happens in a chronic illness, any illness which becomes very chronic. Patients themselves become advisors, patients themselves become motivators to other patients. And in fact, I can say all these Huntington's patients, they are not just patients, they are doctors also themselves. They are doctors also themselves, because they are taking care of themselves, and they are the great motivators to newer patients. They are great motivators to newer patients. So, even that our lady, Asha. See, ultimately, for this, of course, all those symptoms, we know, movement disorder, walking issues, involuntary movements, speech, and cognitive functions, all those things are there. But most important in this case is a societal response towards them, how the society reacts to them. So we have to give them a lot of emotional support, and society has to really motivation. We have to motivate them, we have to emotionally support them. And of course, I came to know there are about 20 plus, around 20-25 identified Huntington's patients through NIMANS. That's what I was told. So, of course, as far as including this under a rare list of diseases, it should not be a big issue. We'll get it done. Certainly we'll get it done. That is not an issue. Because already we have a very big list of rare disease, Gachers, Niemann-Pick's, Hunter's, Hurler's, mucopolysaccharidosis, all those things are there. Of course, treatment is very expensive. Enzyme replacement therapies are very expensive. So here, most important, my advice is, yes, government, our Honorable Minister is there, he is very receptive. In fact, despite today being festival day of Varamahalakshmi, so very fact he has attended this meeting, it shows his concern for these patients, concern for his society. So another important thing, we have to really you should have sympathy, you should have empathy, you should have compassion towards them. That is bigger than treatment. Sympathy, empathy, and compassion is really bigger than the treatment toward these patients. And of course, early diagnosis, maybe genetic screening for high-risk group is very essential. Maybe first-degree relatives, second-degree relatives of such families, so whether that can be stopped so that that chain is broken somewhere down the line. So that is where we have to do that particular thing. Another thing, my suggestion would be, we should also rope in Rotary and Lions to support this patient. They are very, very happy to support such patients. Rotary always, there should not be a bigger thing. So we have to, the Huntington's Society should, I will also speak to the Rotary and the Lions. They will be more than happy to support patients because it needs a continuous care, and they can't do an active job, most of the people. So another important thing probably our Honorable Minister can consider, because it comes under a rare disease, although right now it is not bracketed under the rare disease, we can always give some sort of a allowance. The Huntington's chorea allowance can be given maybe every month, maybe about 10,000 rupees towards these patients. So that will be of a great help towards them. So even if you say it is not a big financial burden, even if you have 20, it's not just, it doesn't cost more than 25 lakhs a year. So as some sort of a special allowance can be given toward these Huntington chorea patients. So this is how we should do that. And of course, rehabilitation is an ongoing process for all of them. Rehabilitation has to be there. Speech therapy for some of them, rehabilitation for some of them. And most important is we have to support mental makeup is very, very important. So very fact you have brought them here, and so each one will be motivating the other, that they can still, Mr. Vijay Kumar, see, he swims, he walks, what else you want? I mean, many people who are apparently healthy also cannot do those things on a regular basis. So I think ultimately motivation is the key issue here. So, and each patient is going to inspire the other. So although it may be a rare disease, but as responsible responsible citizens of the society, it is the duty of everybody to support this particular cause. And again, Government of Karnataka can come out with some sort of a financial assistance program on monthly basis towards them. And as far as list is concerned, we'll get it done. That should not be an issue. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Manjunath, sir. Sir, token operation we want, and we want to give a copy of that memorandum what we are submitting to government, giving to you. So, yeah, we'll sir, when approached Manjunath, sir, he has agreed to ambassador for the Hdsi. So that is great. We give him big claps. So he has not been hesitating to meet anybody when you go to his doorstep. So you'll give a, just like that, you can walk in and talk with him, whatever that. That is moral support required as a doctor is giving. Thanks a lot, sir, for you. Okay. Sir, I request our Honorable Minister Health. So we are expecting a lot. Last 2 years back we came, we could not meet Sudhakar at the time. So we want some solutions from you, hear from you. Thank you, sir. This is a roundabout, sir.
So welcome everybody for this discussion that we are having on the Huntington's disease and how we can take things forward. Just now we heard from our very eminent personality of Karnataka, Dr. Manjunath, who has represented the medical fraternity for decades and has been at the forefront of very many progressive and reformist and innovative movement in the government sector. Did Jaydeva and really created a center of excellence and eminence in the country itself. So now, earlier he was a doctor, now he is a political personality. So he is playing a dual.
Hello.
So, Dr. Manjunath is also now a very important political personality, and I'm sure that he'll be a very good voice for the health sector, not only for Karnataka, but for the entire country. We have great hopes on him, and I'm sure he will deliver, because he knows how to talk to people, how to handle people, and he understands how governments work, and I think that he can play a very key role in this his term as a member of parliament. I hope that he gets greater responsibilities. I wish he was the health minister of India. That would have been the perfect choice, actually. So, of course, our NIMHANS director, Dr. Pratima, she has spoken, and I think she had to take a call. From the PM office, some call came, so she had to take that call, but she might come back. And ನಮ್ಮ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಶ್ರೀನಿವಾಸ್ ಅವರು, ನಮ್ಮ ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಅವರು ಕೂಡ ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ನಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲ ಇಲಾಖೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಅಧಿಕಾರಿಗಳು ಕೂಡ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಹಂಟಿಂಗ್ಟನ್ ಡಿಸೀಸ್ ಸೊಸೈಟಿ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಇವರ ಮೆಂಬರ್ಸ್ ಅವರು ಕೂಡ ಎಲ್ಲ ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಮತ್ತು ಅದೆಲ್ಲದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗಿ ಈ ಒಂದು ಡಿಸೀಸಿಂದ ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ದಿ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ಲಿ themselves and their caregivers, their parents or children, who they all have come over here. So some of them have come here. So I think it is a very important discussion that is taking place here, no doubt about that. And the role of the HD society is to play, bring about awareness, advocacy, and see how they can, bring public, private sector to help people who are undergoing, who are suffering, and also to push people to find out cures, do more research, and to see how we can tackle this problem. All these rare diseases, there are like Nama Indira Gandhi, Nama Euro, Prasanna Avaru, he spoke very well. I think he said what is the actual ground reality on this. And I think Government of India representative also has come. So it is, I don't think there's much discussion to be had about whether this should be called a rare disease. It is a rare disease. There's no need for any discussion. It just needs, I think, an announcement or an inclusion. It doesn't need a panel or technical panel to look into and decide whether this is a rare disease. It is obvious that it's a rare disease. But I think for Government of India, of course, for any government, there always will be some parameters on who should be identified, what should be identified. And just like what our doctor said, there are the treatment that is being given now are for curable rare diseases, where you can treat them one-time expenditure, surgery is done or transplant is done or whatever is done, and it's cured. The problem I think which comes in here is that one is there is no cure, and the second thing is it's long-term care. So it could be for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and maybe more also. So for every government, it's always managing our resources and priorities. So I think what happens is they tend to look at, okay, what is the immediate need and what is the thing that we can do and solve. Government looks at solutions and trying to solve the problem. So this is not a solution. There's no clear-cut solution here. There is something that we need to take care of them. So I think it requires a policy not just for Huntington's. It requires a policy for all these kind of diseases. Because if a government takes a decision that we need to fund and we need to support in financial terms or in other terms for these kind of diseases, then it cannot be that I only take Huntington's and I'll leave out Parkinson or I'll leave out some other disease. It has to be that you end up taking all this. Dr. Manjunath, he suggested that government can support, give some fund for caregivers, because they are the ones who need it the most to look after. But again, like I said earlier, that should become a policy for all these kind of diseases. So, let's wait for this emergency call to get over. Now, today being a festival, they may have lit some lamp somewhere, so smoke may have smoke detectors. This entire building, it's automated system. Somebody may. Hopefully it is that. There's no real fire. So I will definitely say that it is, we heard all of them speak. We heard the elder gentleman, Dr. Jaykumar, he was speaking, Asha spoke, another person, the caregiver spoke, Archana spoke. So, and 2-3 other people spoke. And it was like really, we can understand. And yes, as a government or as an institution, it is our duty, I think, to see that we somehow do something to support. Because there is a lot of suffering, pain, and there's a lot of hardship involved here. And the way they were talking, so much of spirit in them, so much of, energy in them, and the resilience, it's wonderful. So it also inspires us that when they are, like how Manjunath Redage, they are the votaries, and they are the doctors, they are the ones who are championing this cause. And it definitely moves us. Namgadu ansate hೌದಪ್ಪ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನಾದರೂ ಮಾಡಲೇಬೇಕು ಅಂತ. ಅದರಿಂದ ಖಂಡಿತವಾಗಿಯೂ I think we will definitely look at how we can take this up as a issue, how we can support, and I think for this maybe the society can help us, and which are the other similar kind of diseases which are long-term and low cost and long-term and high cost. There are two groups. So what role we can play in that? And I think we need to identify these diseases. What are the numbers? What is the data? What will be the resources required? I think some sort of a study needs to be done. So I don't know, Director, we need to do that study so that, so not just for HD, because ultimately if I take a decision for HD, I'll have to follow it up for so many other things. Under so many other, these kind of degenerative diseases. So I think if we can collect all the data and see what will be the, total, I think even Government of India also can do, what will be the costing, what will be the resources needed, what will be the support system that can be provided. So, Doctor, ಏನು ಹೇಳಬೇಕು ಅಂತಿದ್ರಿ? Already, okay. So what does the policy say? Oh, I have not read the policy, I'm just talking, so I don't know what the policy says. I don't think we have to follow what Government of India is doing. We can take our own decision on this. If they do, it's fine. But it's not that we have to be waiting for them to do something. We can take our own initiative. I don't think we have to wait for Government of India. Okay. So other bagay, there's no, we don't have to be bound by that. And health is a state subject. So we are free to do whatever we want to do. Yeah. So whatever is, that is one thing, the policy. Other thing I want is the data. how many, approximately, how many HD patients are there in Karnataka? How many other these degenerative, whether it's Parkinson's or Alzheimer's or other dementia, how many, so
Parkinson, Alzheimer's, it becomes,
huge number. So that is, so I don't know. See, I'm not sure about that. Whether it's rare or not, I don't know. Yeah, you can say, I mean, we are having a discussion, so I don't want to.
For the first time, I think in Karnataka, we have, through the Brain Health Initiative, we formed a statewide neurological disorders registry. So we have more than 90,000 patients now that we know district hospitals are seeing.
Huntington's, how many?
No, we don't. What we have to now do, we have done stroke separate, dementia separate. Now, Huntington's disease is a complex genetic disorder which is neurodegenerative. So that will be the highest burden. So we can definitely find, and we all have registries. We have movement disorders registry in hands. We have dementia registry. So we'll give you the numbers of complex genetic neurological disorders.
Which are the other rare kind of diseases?
Dementia, sir. It is a very similar. They have behavioral problems. They have movement disorders. They have, it goes outcome and dominant. Like that, children have some neuromuscular disorders, which are again genetic. So what we can do, since this is a genetic disorder, and it has high psychosocial stigma, and it requires multidisciplinary care and complex genetic diagnosis. So they will require genetic testing. That itself is very expensive, sir. So genetic testing, genetic counseling is unique to these groups.
So let us, that may be part of the policy paper also, I think. So let us relook that paper.
Under genetic neurological disorders.
Yeah.
So that it narrows down to one class.
Because see, there was one more I had visited near Kollegala Hatra doctor. They had this skin, what is the disease called? Something, I don't know. No. Bada rare, sir. Rarest of the rare it was. Near Kollegal. They just, skin just starts a thing, and then they have a low survival rate also. And they can't go out in the, no light or sun can hit them, where they are photosensitive. So they have to be always covered up. They can't go step out into they're always in dark rooms. And it was a very rare thing. And so, that's I think maybe even rarer than your Huntington's. Very rare. But it is there in a certain group. So, pockets. Yeah. Yeah, so data will get, and we have a policy already there, and as a state we can evolve our own policy. But let us look at how we can support, where we can support. And even for SC/ST we have a rare diseases, for scheduled caste, scheduled tribe we have a rare diseases component, which I can definitely use. That fund is available for in my state. So that, but I can't just say only SC/ST, no. That's also general. But if anybody comes in that category, I have enough. I think definitely we can move on those things.
Xeroderma pigmentosa.
Xeroderma pigmentosa. That was the thing. Xeroderma pigmentosa was that disease. And I visited the houses. It's all remote areas. So it's all genetic only, pure genetic. Of course, sickle cell anemia also is there. That's also a genetic disorder. But so these are the things. So definitely from our side, we will take a look at it. We will have a discussion. We will see how we can, what are the numbers, how we can provide support, resource. Of course, Government of India can also include it into the list of whether that's a decision that they have to take. And this care, how to provide the fund. Now 50 lakhs is a one-time cost. For these kind of people, it has to be an evolved program. So what kind of program we can do. So I will ask our commissioner to sit with all of you, work out based on, let's not reinvent everything. Let's go back to the policy paper, take that up, and again see what is the data that is available as of now, a rough estimate, and then we can come to some decision based on that. So we are, something definitely from our side we will do, and we want to do. So, and we will try and see how we can support. And I think the society is playing a great role. And you can be also part of that discussions. So thank you for having organized this. And of course, doctor's advice is always there. We will also include him in all those discussions so that he can give us suggestions. Okay. And of course, the Kabi program is there. So in that you can start identifying these things and counseling them. That we should get the list of these kind of people and use our existing infrastructure to help them. No? Not yeah. Because I cannot say we'll find a cure, we'll do research, that is beyond our capacities. That is not, we can support. Because this has to be done by either GOI or big institutions, big pharma companies or other big societies. I think they need to do that. Hopefully they find something. At least if they can suppress the gene from expressing strongly, that itself will be probably a solution. So thank you to the society. Thank you, Dr. Manjunath from our department. Thank you, everybody, for having come and really given us one kickstart. I think all of you people who spoke, you've really given us one leg up, that go ahead and do something. So all the people who've got Huntington's, I think I wish them all the best. Keep fighting, keep advocating, keep doing a good work. I think something good will always happen when you keep trying. So let's do that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for your support. Dr. Shalini Rajneesh, who is the Cabinet Secretary, could not make it today, but she has already initiated the task force team to do this, look into that. I think our Dr. Rajni is going to make it champion in that thing. Other one is, we are submitting a memorandum to Minister to multi-care, disciplinary care to make it available. This is the occasion. There is one panel discussion is there on the topic how to manage the HD. Okay, just now with that. And sir, small memento we'd like to give it to you, sir, on this occasion. And yeah, again, talk. No. Okay, thanks a lot.
We'll continue with the discussion.
We keep coming to you, sir, again. To till you get a solution, we're going to disturb you. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
We have made a video along with the advocacy team. I request to play that awareness purpose. We request to play the video and Minister is there. Please play the video. Hello, Amit.
Some places we have observed some stigma. For example, when I go into a metro station,
ನೆಮ್ಮದಿಯ ಬದುಕು ಮುನ್ನಡೆಸುತ್ತಿರುವಾಗಲೇ ಸ್ಮರಣ ಶಕ್ತಿ ಏಕಾಗ್ರತೆ ಕಡಿಮೆಯಾಗಿ ಎದ್ದು ನಡೆದಾಡಲು ಸಾಧ್ಯವಾಗದೆ ಹೋಗಬಹುದಾದ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿಯ ಕುರಿತು ಎಂದಾದರೂ ಯೋಚಿಸಿದ್ದೀರಾ? ಹೌದು, ಹಂಟಿಂಗ್ಟನ್ ಎಂಬ ಅಪರೂಪದ ವಂಶವಾಹಿನಿ ಕಾಯಿಲೆಯ ಕುರಿತು ತಿಳಿಯುವ ಒಂದು ಸಣ್ಣ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನವೇ ಈ ವಿಡಿಯೋ. ಏನಿದು ಹಂಟಿಂಗ್ಟನ್ ಕಾಯಿಲೆ? ಮುಗಿಸ್ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ.
Continue my career.
What we can do is
insurance companies also don't give.
Because of the pre-existing thing.
Pre-existing.
And genetic is also not covered.
I think again this also government of India also has to look at this.
Needs to be seriously looked at.
Because insurance companies also, because they're saying it's pre-existing condition, we cannot.
Obama
insurance companies.
Yeah, in
allowed
USA.
it specifically.
Because when they've taken insurance and later they come to know that this has happened, it doesn't mean that
Pre-existing condition. So this has to be covered.
I think for this disease, even insurance is not.
Yeah.
Insurance is at least that should be there.
Even for routine
Also reporting a lot of cognitive issues.
Yes.
Every one of us are going through this early onset.
It was very fine.
So what organizations do if an employee cannot work? At least pay 50% of his salary. Okay, that is one thing. And because as part of the CSR budget, they have to do something, right? So why not help such patients? Right? So that's one thing.
So maybe we can discuss society. Because see how we can speak to these companies.
Let them take care of let them pay at least some percentage of salary.
But they spend their CSR budgets on other things.
They spend, so this is something which is also, we can talk to them, no?
We have government support.
Yeah, that's what, we can talk to them. So we will work out something. We have a meeting, discuss.
Last week, sir had a meeting with CSR.
Yeah, last week we had a meeting with CSR, so but we can propose this also with them. The support from the government for these kind of people. Let them give the money to the government and we can spend it on these people. Absolutely. So that also we can do some sort of partnership. We'll work on that. Okay.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Your name?
BS Chandra.
Your only
Sir, I'm member of Hdsi, member secretary of Hdsi coordinator.
Patients and caregivers, they want to
Can we please all come now?
Contact.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for being with us. Continue with the panel discussion. Please be here. ಮಿಕ್ಕಿದವರು ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಗಡಿಬಿಡಿ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅವರು ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಇರಿ. You can be seated. We will continue with the panel discussion. The people who are in hurry and have to leave, kindly move to 8th floor for lunch.
ಫ್ರೇಮ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಹಿಂದೆ ಇರ್ತೇವೆ, ಅವ್ರು ಬೆನ್ನು ನಾವಿದೆ, ಇಲ್ಲ ಕ್ಯಾಮ್ರಾ ಮುಂದೆ ಇದೆ. ಇರಿ ಇದೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇರಿ ಇರಿ ಸರ್ ಫ್ರೇಮಲ್ಲಿ. ಅವ್ರ ಈ ಕಡೆ ಬನ್ನಿ ಸರ್, ನೀವು ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ ಸರ್, ಅವ್ನು ಕಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. ನೀವು ಅಡ್ಡ ಫ್ರೇಮಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಹಿಂಗೆ ಓಡಾಡಿದ್ದೀರ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂತಾನೆ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮಧ್ಯಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂತಾರೆ, ನೀವು ಫ್ರೇಮಲ್ಲಿ ಇರಬೇಕು. ನಾನು ಬೆನ್ ತೋರಿಸ್ಲವರು.
ಇನ್ನು ಮುಂದೆ ಪ್ಯಾನೆಲ್ ನಿಂದ ಕೆಲ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು 10-15 ನಿಮಿಷ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. Please be seated for 10-15 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. The panel discussion will continue. We will hear to the experts that have not spoken so far. Thank you very much. Over to Bhavna. You can initiate now.
Okay. Shall we have a brief and formal discussion and then we'll brainstorm? Thank you so much. I know everyone's excited that the minister was so positive. We are very, very happy with the outcome of the meeting. It's brought HD to the fore. But now we'll just talk about what it's taken on the spectrum, from diagnosis till maybe palliative care and beyond, and research as well. I'm happy to introduce Professor Dr. Swarna Alladi, Professor and Head of the Neurology Department at NIMHANS. Dr. Priya Thomas, are you here? I don't see you. You are also from the Department of Psychiatric Social Work at NIMHANS. Dr. Seema Rao, who is the director at Karunashraya Palliative Care. Dr. Shiba Vasu, who is the associate professor at JNCASR here in the city. Dr. Sanjeev Jain, who will join us in a moment. And Dr. Rajni Parthasarthi. There he is. Okay. So, we have one mic, and what I'm going to do is just quickly ask you some questions. I will and request you to pass the mic on from there. So, Dr. Allari, you've seen patients at NIMHANS from many different walks of life and also from many different disorders. Do they have anything in common with HD? What do HD and other disorders, some disorders, have in common? Or what are the special needs? That's one question. And my second one, I'm going to ask you once and for all, is that most healthcare systems in the world are overburdened. Ours is no exception, especially with a very large population. So what can we do to manage this disease better outside the hospital system and be supervised by it?
Thank you. So I think what Huntington's disease has in common with other neurological disorders is it's a genetic disorder with very high penetrance, and we do have disorders like that. We have familial dementias, which are very similar in the fact that they have cognitive issues. We heard from the patients that they have cognitive issues, they have behavioral issues, their motor issues, huge caregiver burden, and a worry about the next generation with psychosocial stigma. So these are the 3 or 6 kind of characteristics which are very common, and most neurodegenerative diseases of genetic origin have this in common. So like we heard from the Honorable Health Minister, we will make a list of all these diseases which are similar, which have similar problems. And I think Huntington's disease can take the credit for leading from the front for so many other neurological disorders that can have similar problems. Now, we were talking about outside healthcare systems, what we can do. I think the WHO has come up with what is called the IGAP, Intersectoral Global Action Plan for Epilepsy and Neurological Disorders. Brain health has become a very important policy kind of area. So we now have in India, after the Karnataka Brain Health Initiative, we have a national task force for brain health, and that will focus on neurological disorders. So I think everywhere, the World Federation of Neurology has a focus on complex genetic neurological disorders. So and they're very clear that it's not just in the hospital. We have to, it's called post-diagnostic support. I think Priya will tell us more about that. So when you make a diagnosis, the post-diagnostic support which goes into long-term care and then palliative care. So this is what we need to develop a clear pathway, and I think as at least we'll come back locally to we need policies for long-term care. That is the first thing. In Japan, everybody pays 1 yen every month. So by the time they reach an older age, they have a fund like an insurance which will take care of long-term care. And in India, long-term care is essentially 99% home care. And then few percentage is respite care. And then you have a complete dependent, they say in the hospital, like for instance in dementia, you have dementia residential care centers. But that's very small. So residential cares have to increase. Then you have to have respite care. Even if somebody wants to go on a holiday, they don't have a place where they can keep their patient and be satisfied that they'll be well taken care of. And then there is home care. And that is multidisciplinary in nature. And so all of this, we have to really focus on a post-diagnostic care in policy, in developing models. Every hospital should have a post-diagnostic care support. NIMHANS, we are lucky we have something, but even that is only a model. We just see patients, usually after we see them, we send them off. And then now we are reaching out into the community. And of course, awareness is important. We have to work stigma, working on awareness, training primary healthcare workers to manage patients, and then so I think we have to focus on beyond the hospital, and we have to come together to provide that care.
Thank you. Thanks. So Dr. Priya Thomas, you are with the Department of Psychiatric Social Work at NIMHANS. What does the Department of Psychiatric Social Care do? Well, that's one question. And given the sheer volume of patients that you help and you have and you see, is there some advice that you have for caregivers and patients from HD and other communities on how we can manage?
Thank you very much. And I think it's a great platform to have everybody together so that there can be a lot more, which is what social work is all about. So that answers your first question. We try to coordinate the care, which Dr. Suvarna mentioned, in terms of psychosocial support, in terms of the multidisciplinary care that is required for several of the neurodegenerative disorders. Essentially is very fragmented. And it starts from the time of diagnosis. And many of our, the people who are living with degenerative disorders, like Huntington's disease, are not familiar with where to go from the time that diagnosis happens. And that has to start from the time of diagnosis. That's what psychiatric social work intervention essentially starts doing, providing with the emotional support, psychosocial support, and the caregivers, as you rightly said, as ma'am said, form the most important component of this care that happens. So essentially beginning, from the time of diagnosis, and supporting through each of the steps that a family goes through is probably the most essential thing that we need to do. And this is not something that can be done by one discipline alone, probably. And I think it is a shared responsibility that each of us do provide. But then, as a psychiatric social worker, the care coordination is something that is essential and which we are trying to do. As you rightly said, there are several, as from all the discussions that has been happening, we know that there are several policies that are possible, many things are being done, there are schemes that are there, though much more needs to be done. But then the barrier probably is that those who really need it are not aware and they are not able to get it. And how do we overcome that barrier is something that has to be worked at every level. And I think that families need to be supported to implement this, whether it is disability benefits or even insurance, whatever is possible. Even though there are schemes, they are not able to access it. And can we support that process is something that we have to be doing. And as ma'am said again, long-term care for long-term neurodegenerative disorders are basically families need to be supported to provide care. The alternate systems probably cannot be provided so much. Families need to be supported and respite need to be provided for those families who are providing care. And for that, we need the specialized care centers also, which can be supported. So overall, I'm sure Dr. Seema also will contribute towards this in terms of how non-categorical palliative care or general assisted living centers can be, capacity building can happen there for providing care for Huntington's disease also. I think we need to be non-categorical. All these diseases can have a system where specifically when problems are there, handholding can be done, but at the same time systems that are existing can be empowered to care for current diseases also. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Huh? Okay. No, I request you to face the camera while speaking. Okay. No, I'm going to say here. Dr. Seema Rao from Karunashraya, you are the Director for for Education and Research. So I have again 2 or 3 questions. Most people equate palliative care to cancer and end-of-life care. Can you explain a little more about that, and what role can palliative care have in the management of HD specifically?
Thank you for the question. And I think there's quite a bit of overlap between managing diseases, right? Especially long-term care conditions. So when we talk about palliative care, there is this general misconception that it is only end-of-life care. I think now the definition of palliative care says that it begins from the point of diagnosis, continues throughout the course of the illness, and even after death of the patient, it goes into the bereavement support as well. So it's not only for the patient, but also for the family members. And it is applicable for any serious health-related suffering. The aim of palliative care is to reduce the suffering of the patient and of the family members, and any domain. It could be physical suffering, psychological, social, or spiritual as well. So this cohesive multidisciplinary team provides the support. But there is also a lot of overlap between, the work that we do, the psychosocial aspect of it, the neurological support that comes from the neurological team, and the symptom management also to a large extent. Motor symptoms are primarily managed by the neurological team. The behavioral symptoms, probably the psychiatry will step in. And when we move ahead, right, you have the physiotherapists, the occupational therapists, the speech therapists, all contribute. Generally, a palliative care team is multidisciplinary, which involves many of these as well. Where we specifically come in is probably when all these support systems are put in place, disease progresses, functionality reduces, they become more and more dependent. And, we are talking about end of life. At that point in, palliative care team can offer much more, at that point. In terms of what we call as supporting the caregivers, empowering them to care. And like Karunashraya has a 73-bedded inpatient facility, but ours is for cancer patients, where we holistically take care of patients. We have a multidisciplinary team that takes care. Similarly, if this assisted living facilities are there for people with neurological diseases, wherein, for respite admissions, as she rightly said, also for end-of-life care, patients do get admitted. And we are able to have these conversations with them about advanced directives, about what kind of care they want. We talk about DNR, we talk about not going in for ventilatory support, whether they want a PEG tube inserted when they are not able to swallow. These are all important decisions that patients have to make about how their end-of-life care is going to be, about whether there are any wishes that needs, unfinished businesses that need to be resolved. Preferred place of care, healthcare proxies when they are not able to make decisions on their own. These are all things that we have conversations with and we sort of, put together to give a good end-of-life care. I think that is where the communication that a palliative care team does comes in very handy at that point in time. I think hand-holding the initial phases, the neurology, the other support can come in. Definitely we don't have enough palliative care teams available also. So as patients progress further and dependency becomes more, and there are questions that come in about why is this happening to me? What wrong did I do to deserve this? So in these aspects, which impacts, all this impacts quality of life. That is where the palliative team can come in to provide the support. So it's about home care, it's about care in the community as well as in the hospice sector. We can do this.
I was saying it seems ideal. I wish it could be more widespread, but one little bit organization can't do it. It has to be a mesh in the social fabric of people who care, including caregivers, including many more medical practitioners. I know you're already overloaded, so thank you all sincerely. And with that, I'd like to bring the discussion to a little academic side because we have Dr. Shiba Vasu here, who is the Associate Professor at JNCASR, and they've been working with Hdsi gene models. But I will let her tell you tired brain. More about the medical work that they've been, the academic work that informs the medical work. And one question that I have, could you, of course, explain your work, but do you partner with other research groups abroad? And what useful research would you say we can bring to India?
Thank you for this opportunity. First, before I answer Bhavna's questions, I would like to congratulate the members of this society for making this event possible. And I think it is in the true spirit of partnership. This society is a place where many people are coming together. And the place that I hold in this society is that of somebody who's thinking a little ahead and beyond patient care itself. But I think that is a very, very important part of this process, because it's really important for us to be able to understand the mechanisms that cause this condition. It is true that today we may not be able to be very close to the cure, but if we do not start or don't make an effort, there is not even anything in the future. So I think that is very, very important, that we must learn to understand what the basic mechanisms are that result in this disease. And for that, patients only provide a small amount of information. It is very important for us to be able to work with model systems that may be human patient cell lines or animal models. With animal models, you can do much more than you can do with cells in a dish. So it's very important to be able to do research at that level. That helps us understand mechanisms, but not only mechanisms. It can also help us to do the kind of screenings that they were talking about, to repurpose already existing drugs. Those you cannot do with patients. You do need model systems to be able to do that kind of work. Now, basic researchers would need to then partner with doctors, with patients, with families, with caregivers to go further. I have been in this country and working on this model or this problem for so many years, but until I came into contact with the Hdsi, I did not realize the importance or the impact at the same level as I was doing in my little academic laboratory back in the campus. You know, I think it's really, really important for us, researchers and students who are actually very, very interested. There are a lot of students, not only in my lab and my group, but across the country. Every time you get an email from a student asking, can I come and do an internship in your lab? They always want to work on that project which has something to do with neurodegeneration. Every time we see students who come to interview for a PhD program, master's program, a summer program, they want to do work on Huntington's disease. They want to study neurodegeneration. But how come nobody has seen a HD patient? Nobody has talked to a doctor who studies HD. You know, that lacuna, I think, is appalling. I was very shocked to, realize that myself. And I think this society can make an effort, and we, as I myself and others like me, should be able to make an effort to make that connect, because then we can progress further. Now, to answer the questions that you specifically had about my work, my studies are directed around rhythms and biological clocks and daily rhythms. And here, it's not about the basic mechanisms, but interventions. So we are thinking that we should be able to use our daily biological clocks to slow down the speed with which neurodegeneration happens. We work with our fly models to do that. We hope that what we learn from that will be able to inform patients.
What specifically would slow it down? Have you?
Yes. So what we have done is to use feeding as a regime. So providing food in a particular short time window, we have seen in our fly model to have certain impact. But I will not jump so far as to tell you as patients and doctors about these things, because I think it's really at a very early stage. But I, as a researcher, would like to learn from patients and doctors. What do they know? What do they learn? What is their body metabolism like? But as a researcher, I have a huge impediment to get that kind of information. I hope that the Hdsi will be able to partner with researchers so we get information sooner, so we can learn and modify our protocols faster. Or the partnership with other countries. So at this moment, I do not have any running collaborations with countries outside. We routinely talk to each other. Student theses get evaluated by people outside the country. We get feedback. Currently, I don't have an ongoing collaboration, but I think with Dr. Nikhil and others and many people partnerships are definitely would be of great value to us as well.
Is there some aspirational research that you've seen that you wish India could do outside on neurodegenerative disease?
Certainly, I mean, if you look at the literature and the very general public type of literature out there, you can see HDSA partnering with so many labs in other countries, and I think that is severely lacking in our country. Not only my lab, in India, I can at least say there are 5 to 10 labs who look at HD from various angles, basic researchers, but we are not even talking amongst each other and the patient-doctor community. Yes, certainly, several. Yeah, in my own institutions, we are collaborating with each other. There are other people in NBRC with whom we talk. We are not having an active collaborative project because all of those things come with grant monies and so on. Academic collaborations can easily happen by speaking with each other, student discussions and so on. Those things happen. I talk with Dr. Meera and Dr. Jain a lot, but they are not, I don't know if I can call them written in paper signed collaboration. That's it's a different level.
And as long as your research is informed.
Right. That's, at that level, definitely we talk with each other, yes.
Thank you. Dr. Meera, would you like to speak?
Thank you. I work in the molecular genetics lab, so I've been with Dr. Jain for many years now, and I help to do the genetic testing, and I have the very difficult task of giving bad news to the families. And very often, it is the family members who come to take the report because either the patient cannot travel or is it the OPD. So it's always a matter of telling them that, this is the way it is and this is how it's going to be and you just have to take care of this person. So I always try to give them whatever positives that I can think of in terms of managing them well or the diet or things like that. And everybody asks me this question, isn't there a drug for this? Isn't there no treatment for this? So I was just talking to Shiba some time back, and I think from the beginning when we started HDSI, I've been saying we should start a registry. We do have a list of patients at NIMHANS, but when you're in the hospital setting, you are bound by certain medical obligations and you cannot share patient lists to any researcher. So we really want to call every patient and invite them whether they would like to be part of a registry where we will camouflage personal data and information, but clinical information should be there. And we should start asking them whether they can share blood reports and things like that, which we can put in some kind of a database so that people like Shiba and others in India who are also researching, because that's how, I don't know if how many of you could hear what Nikhil was saying, but abroad most research is run by HD societies, not really by universities or grants. CHDI is again an organization that is apparently funded by some family. So all research that's happening is stimulated by patient-given funds. So in India too, we can do that. And it's a lot of networking that's lacking. It's not that we don't have the means. So if we all get together and have a common, have a biorepository, like Samvit mentioned, his family was very generous to donate a HD brain. We have a PhD student who has just registered and who is all getting protocols ready to see what best we can do with that brain sample, which is so very precious. So, of course, you can't probably solve the problem with one brain sample, but it's a great beginning. And like Shiva said, students coming and seeing patients and really understanding, it really hits you. When otherwise you're just reading papers. When you see, physical disability as a column in your Excel sheet, versus actually seeing a patient who cannot speak or cannot walk, it's a very, very different experience. And I think it really touches you as a human being that, okay, I'm doing something, let me do something useful. If I can help somebody, it's great. So I think it's very important to keep in touch with families. And we've always had this very difficult question, and since I think there are many here whose lives are affected by this, that is pre-symptomatic counseling and testing. Now, because there are many drugs abroad that seem to be working on patients who are symptomatic, perhaps it makes sense to get yourself tested. I mean, like Archana, her own experience, it's a very, very difficult thing for a human being to, or a family member to deal with that. The person who's looking after the patient, if you yourself are at risk, it's a lot of emotional stress to go through on a daily basis. So there are so many layers to Huntington's disease which probably cannot be solved in one afternoon. But I think if we all know and acknowledge that it is a problem, we can all take a small step towards it, and I think it will give a lot of solace to a lot of patient families who are here, who hope that their lives would get better in some way, whether it is a financial help, whether it's access to medication, whether it's access to a disability certificate. Small things like this which are made so difficult by the government rules. Here is a patient who has to be taken care of by somebody. That person has to go to work and take care of this person and also manage all these, get the drugs on time, get this certificate, get this allowance. So there should be some means by which these kind of things can at least be simplified. I think I've said a lot.
No, it was very heartfelt. Thank you, because it shows the patient community and HDSI the empathy and the sympathy both that are out there and required from the medical fraternity as well as from everyone else. Thank you, Dr. Meera. Dr. Sanjeev Jain is the Emeritus Professor from the Department of Psychology at NIMHANS and also a founder, sorry, I got something wrong, also one of the founders of HDSI. What got you interested in starting a molecular genetics lab at NIMHANS? What was your goal? And what made you begin an organization like HD?
The gene for HD was discovered sometime around 1990 when I was starting my scientific career. And I had seen some patients before that. And we had read all these papers, which were very interesting, because with all this pre-genetic counseling, the idea is that you can prevent HD from going on to the next family. But a very nice paper from America pointed out that if that had been done, America would be short of 2 presidents and various other people in the world. Very, very important people in the world would not have been born if the families had not had children. HD is a disease which can affect anybody. It is not specifically for anybody else, for any particular risk. So the fact that this disease could be used to understand everything about human brain and behavior. It presents with psychiatric problems, it presents with the neurological problems, it presents with being a president of USA, it presents with, as Jeffrey pointed out, being the writer of the national anthem of USA. All of them have had Huntington's disease. Many of them have had Huntington's disease. So this one disease can help us understand a lot about human behavior. As Nikhil pointed out, in America, HD includes AD, PD, and MND because it has symptoms of both. He left out psychiatry, but actually more than 1/3 of patients present with psychiatric problems. So in one disease, you have everything that a neuropsychiatrist can deal with. And the treatments can be made very simple. The oldest person I have managed to treat died when they were 80 years old. With small drugs, with little bit of help, with little bit of care, we could ensure the person living till 80 years of age and playing Scrabble till 3 months before he died. So it is all a question of how to help people with this information. Research is one kind, but we are clinicians. I'm a clinician. So I try to remain in touch with the families. I try to see what we can do. And the basis of that was the molecular genetics lab, without actually knowing what was going on and collaborating with the scientists like Shiba, like with my other colleagues at Hdsi. How is the disease going to affect every cell of your body? If we can do that, if we can understand that, then we can invent treatments. So the research has to be accompanied by the bedside care. And as has been pointed out by Meera, all over the world, it's the family groups and the patient group which drive the scientists and the researchers to collaborate in research. So the effort was that if we can set up an organization like Hdsi in India, which will drive all the doctors and scientists to work together and do better things, that was the major idea. That was the only idea, actually. And I'm thankful that, people like Paramjit, Mr. Kaushik, all the others have not lost hope in the scientists and doctors even after so many years. That we still hope that you'll be able to push us to do even better. The most fantastic statement was once there was all this family issue happening and the patient told me, "Doctor, I'm going to go ahead. It's your job to find a treatment. That's not my job. My job is to live my life. It's your job to find the treatment. So we have to do the job."
When you want to collaborate, there is any policy that we don't want to share that samples? What is government policy?
So routine patient data from any hospital service cannot be made public because all patient data is private. So unless patients are specifically enrolled in a study, then that data can be made public within the ethics committee guidelines approved by the ethics committee. In general, it cannot be shared. But unless we create a registry or we behave like the UK government or the American, I think it's called Include Me In or something program, where all patients are encouraged to participate in research, give a blanket consent so that the data can be used for teaching and research automatically. As of now, we don't have such programs in place. So therefore, there can be collaboration between scientists, but the data need not be made public as of now, and is not in the public domain. So to make a registry, it means putting in a public domain. That is the difference. But as Shiva pointed out, lots of people collaborate. My own collaboration included Indian Institute of Science, NCBS, JNC. Yeah. No, you cannot. No, Government of India laws do not allow data to be shared with anybody outside the country. There is a blanket ban on that. It's a government policy. The data can be shared under approval by the government for a specific purpose. But blanket sharing is not allowed. You have privacy policy.
Would you like to add anything more? No. Okay. And our last panelist for this afternoon is Dr. Rajni Parthasarthi, who's been instrumental in helping us host this event here. She also won the P. Desi Raju Award for her services. She's the Deputy Director for Mental Health from the Health Services Department here in the Government of Karnataka. What are some of the measures that the Government of Karnataka and your department are taking to improve healthcare facilities in our state with regard to mental health? And I know you said that everyone can avail of it. So if you could elaborate on that, then we'll know what to avail of. And I have one more question, which is, could you highlight any service that HD patients and other movement disorder patients and their caregivers can avail?
Thank you very much. I think we are at the end of the day-longs or almost half a day program. Enough is spoken about what is HD and what needs to be done. So basically, I think many affluent families are there, but still what Kaushik sir also was telling, it must have been so hard for people, from rural India, where, even the community awareness may not be that much. And I was talking to one of the, Deccan Herald person today, that for an example, if a Huntington'S person he's traveling in the bus, because of the chorea movements, he may touch another girl or a woman inappropriate. That touch could be inappropriate. Imagine this person is booked in, some other case which is so difficult to come out. So I told her, please enlighten the public through the awareness. So in the government system, currently under Health and Family Welfare Department, we have primary healthcare centers, taluk hospitals, district hospitals, and state level hospitals. So it is all free services. A nominal fee for the lab and the entry is there. So happy to share that we have robust mental health program, as well as now from past 1 year we have brain health initiative across the state. So for early diagnosis, as Indira Gandhi doctor was telling, the screening for the children, newborn children, should start for Huntington disease. And of course, the multidisciplinary team here, including experts from NIMANS, Indira Gandhi, and Hdsi itself, and the Karunashraya, IASC, Indian Institute of Science, and genetic research people, we need to come out with an SOP how to help from 0 to 100, right? So we are ready to work together. So early diagnosis can happen through Karnataka Brain Health Initiative. Every district hospital has a physiotherapist, speech therapist, psychiatrist, neurologist, orthopedic surgeons, physicians. So kindly avail the services what is available at the taluk and district hospitals. So that would be my request to all of you, and spread awareness in the same line. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much to everyone who's been able to attend this afternoon, and we won't want to stop you much further, but just to say the Hdsi would love to be in touch with all our panelists and esteemed guests to collect some ideas and thoughts, and also some of the things that you did discuss here, and put it together as resources the larger community can access. So we'll be in touch with you on that. And with that, we'll conclude our program with a warm thank you. Yeah.
Thank you all.
Okay. I think Rajni ma'am has already done the word of thanks, but okay, just bear with me for a couple of minutes, okay, please. So good afternoon, everyone. I feel honored and privileged to get the opportunity to propose a vote of thanks on this special occasion to celebrate the 5th Foundation Day of Hdsi in association with the Department of Health and Family Welfare Services, Government of Karnataka, Organization for Rare Disease India, Movement Disorder Society of India, and NIMHANS. On behalf of the Board of Management of Hdsi, I would like to thank all the honorable dignitaries and the invited speakers who blessed us with their presence today. My words are not enough to express the gratitude to our chief guest, Shri Dinesh Gundu Rao, Minister for Health and Family Welfare, Government of Karnataka, Dr. C.N. Manjunath, former Director of Jayadeva Institute of Cardiovascular Research and current MP of Bangalore Rural Personnel, Dr. Bhagwan Singh Charan, Additional Director General, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India, Dr. Srinivas, Director Health, Government of Karnataka, who took time out from the busy schedules and graced us with their kind and encouraging words today. I would like to thank our expert panel of doctors led by Dr. Pratima Murthy, Dr. Sanjeev Jain, Dr. Suvarna Aladi, Dr. Priya Thomas, Dr. Seema Rao, Dr. Shima Vasudev, Dr. Rajani Parthasati for their insightful ideas on managing HD in India. Special thanks to Dr. Jeffrey Stromberg and Dr. Nikhil Ratna, who joined us from the US to share their presentation on experiences with HD. I would also like to thank Mr. Prasanna Shirol and team from Hdsi for collaborating with us and for taking up the issues of rare diseases with the minister today. An event of this dimension cannot happen overnight. The wheels start rolling months in advance. We've been fortunate enough to be backed by a team of very motivated and dedicated committee members and volunteers. Our heartfelt gratitude to Shri D. Randeep, Commissioner for Health and Family Welfare Service, Government of Karnataka, Dr. Rajani Parthasati, Deputy Director, Mental Health, Department of Health and Family Welfare Service, Government of Karnataka. They've been very supportive to the cause of HD and played a key role in obtaining necessary approvals for organizing the event in Arogya Sauda and also for providing excellent facilities that we have enjoyed here today for the conference.
I would also like to thank our beloved chairman, Shri Kaushik ji, who's been pushing everyone to make this event happen with the support of our Vice President, Bhavna, Samvit, Alpani ji, who played a pivotal role in organizing the conference. A special shout out goes to the patients and the family members who have come forward to share their experiences with the dignitaries and doctors present here. Thanks to all of you for making this conference successful. Now it's time for some sumptuous uta. So please head to 8th floor. Anchor, of course, yes. Please wish. Okay, yes.
Thanks to Shiv Kumar Kalkapur.
Okay.
And also not to miss out, sincere thanks to Shiv Kumar Kalkapur and team from SVR Digital Services Yashwantpur for the wonderful video and photo services. A big round of applause for them, ladies and gentlemen. Also to the catering services that have provided wonderful services on this occasion. And finally, from my side as well, sincere thanks to all the personalities engaged in the noble cause of scientific research on this particular disease. Thank you, sirs. Thank you, ma'ams. Thank you, everybody. Photograph? Yeah, kindly join for a photograph. Kindly join for a photograph. It is a wish of some of the people. Please join for the photograph. खुशी हुई।
Actually, you can vote of thanks is about to mention Dr. Meera's name. Dr. Meera, thank you for participating in this discussion. Yes, sir.
Thanks a lot all the way you're bringing the patients. Very important. Thank you.
Ready? Ready, madam? Madam, ready? Madam, we can all go. Ready? Sir? Madam? Okay. Hindi yaar agar kanta illa bani kar madam ika bani kya ika bani please bani bani ika bani madam please madam back side madam bani ready. ಸವಿಕ್ ಹಿಂದೆ ಎತ್ತಿಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಹೆಂಗೆ ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಸರ್. ಓಕೆ ಸರ್.